Hello. Again, good morning, dear colleagues. I would like to ask, I'm really sorry for this bad voice. Actually, when I got up today, I realized that I lost my voice. I will try my best so as to keep the discussion into this session. And first of all, I would like to thank you very much for your kind attendance into this session. I'm Kontoes. I'm the chair of the session. The co-chair is Miss Alexia Tsouni, a close collaborator to us. And this is the session relating to disasters and health. Maybe several of you have attended the meeting of yesterday, the preparatory meeting of the action group. It was indeed a crowded and very interesting discussion we had yesterday. We actually tried to highlight, what is the potential through the EuroGEO and the actions of these groups, actually, one being the Disaster and Health Action Group, similar to several others that we are running in the framework of the EuroGEO initiative. The main scope is that EuroGEO is trying to empower actually the use of Earth observation data towards the development of services, the engagement of users, and the translation of data and research into significant knowledge and services for the benefit of the end users. But when we say end user, we need not just the abstracted idea of the user, but the user who is actually needing the data, takes the information and use it into its daily practice. And this is the big challenge we have in the EuroGEO since its early days, 4 or 5 years ago, and we would like to keep this concept sustained to the extent possible for the next year. So the role of the EuroGEO action groups is exactly this, that we stimulate the discussion, we stimulate the exchange in between the different actors, scientists, service providers, stakeholders, users, data providers, so as to, as a community, actually, as an action group, provide something useful and sustainable for the future. And one of the main aspects that we would like to discuss today is how you think this EuroGEO initiative is going to support your action, what you are expecting from EuroGEO so as to make your action sustainable, and how do you think that this next phase of EuroGEO is, could be eventually better coordinated so as to achieve these goals? So this is a very short introduction. We will have the opportunity to speak, on all this, later in the discussion part of the session. Now I would like to pass directly and give the floor to the first speaker of the day, which is Marco Folegani from MIO. Marco actually has actually being part of the previous ESAPE project that it was run under the EuroGEO initiative. Marco, actually, I remember you were not from the very early days of ESAPE, but you joined ESAPE later on, and even it had been in ESAPE for only 2 years, I think, before it was closed. You did a very good progress, and please take the floor and explain to us what was your action in the ESAPE project. Thank you very much. Please, I have to remind to everyone that it is 7-talk presentation. Okay. 7-minute presentation in order to have some room for talks.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Assessment through automatic change detection of Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2 images. The domain of the project is disaster management, but disaster management intended as disaster occurring in those remote areas that can count on consolidated and robust infrastructure where extreme events with also with limited magnitude can have a devastating impact, while other extreme events occurring in, let's say, in area with a good infrastructure can have limited impact. So the scope of FRIEND is to provide tools for impact assessment analysis and risk estimation in flood event. The consortium of this pilot is made of MEO, the company I'm here representing. It is an Italian company operating since 2004 in the field of Earth observation, and we have been supporting this project by SACEN, European Union Satellite Center, for analysis and decision making. But let's see talk a little about the rationale of this project. This project is, this pilot is a demonstration of how data combined with good data and robust data combined with technology can support the decision making by providing information organized in scenario. Okay, the logic of the service is quite simple. The service provides analysis, identification, selection, and filtering tool of data sets that can be then elaborated to produce the information product needed by the user. The service is addressed to two kinds of users: a generic user with no expertise, no skill in Earth observation data, which is required to provide requirements in terms of area, period, and parameters, or let's say domain that is needed to monitor. Then, based on this requirement, the service take care of collecting, identifying, collecting, filtering the right data set, the right data that can be useful for the specific requirement, specific problem provided by the generic user. Then the data are further elaborated and the results are returned to the user, the generic user, for approval, for review. But the service is also addressed to another kind of, another category of user, which is the expert user that doesn't need support in analysis, identification of dataset, because he knows very well the data, but it can count on the elaboration and the monitoring service provided by the service. So in this way, we want to address, let's say, a large audience with expert and no expert Earth observation data users. But let's see the pilot, the project. This is the landing page. The landing page of the service provides information about the tool, about the project behind the tool. Also, it provides tutorial, video tutorial to explain how to access and how to use the service. And of course, the two ways to access the service, which are for non-expert user, which means graphic user interface that allows the interaction with the data, with the tools, and the service for expert user, which is basically a Jupyter Lab, where there are tutorial examples, guidelines for exploiting the data collected and exposed by the tool through the APIs. Let's have a look at the graphic user interface for no expert user. This is basically how the service expose the data. On the top left, we have the list of use cases already currently implemented in the project, which means that you can surf through the use cases, see the basic information about the events that have been considered, and the area of interest and the period. The service is organized in use cases because then we will see later on, we want to avoid a general purpose. We want to be specific for the requirements of the users. Then on the bottom left, we have the list of datasets available for the specific use case, which means that changing use case, we will have a completely different list of datasets. Because as I said before, this is the datasets are customized on the specific requirement of the use case and the end user. The datasets are organized in two groups. The first is about the risk estimation, which means that we are exposing, we are sharing, when making available basically the Copernicus product concerning the flood risk, which means precipitation and the other products that, as you know, must be updated on a regular basis, since Copernicus is providing new products, let's say on quarterly basis or every 6 months. Then we have the second group of datasets, which concerns the impact assessment. Basically, these datasets are products generated from analysis of Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2, change detection, elaborated together. Here in this tool, you can upload, you can visualize in the main window the products in terms of raster or in terms of time series. You can consult, you can compare the events, we can compare the data, you can download the data. Then we have the expert user interface, which is basically a Jupyter Lab. Here in the example, we reported the code to generate, to retrieve the same image exposed in the previous slide. To conclude, lessons learned and further evolution about this pilot friend allows us to add value at existing product by aggregating other products, which means that the added value from my point of view is the combination of different kind of data sets, observation, prediction, risk products that can be combined together by following a thematic approach. The two ways to access the data sets allow to reach a larger audience. For what concerns the evolution, we want to add case studies, which means add a selection of data sets. We want to integrate with existing services, but we want also to update the list of datasets with the new Copernicus product. Here, a few links. If you want to see the user guide, explore the platform, and see the video tutorial. Thank you. Seven minutes.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you very much. We will proceed to the next presentation. And I have all the questions we will keep it for the
Okay.
presentation. The next presenter is Alexia Massakanti. Actually, Alexia is not present today physically, but she should be connected virtually with us. Could you please check? Alexia is also a use case and pilot action which was interpreted in the ESA project through the onboarding process. So Alexia is also actually was developing such service, the so-called mountain use service that has been advanced in the framework of EuroGEO, using the mechanism of EuroGEO has helped in terms of co-design and co-creation and engagement of new users of this. But I will give the floor to Alexia to explain a bit better what has been done in the framework of the EuroGEO program project and how this has helped her to make her action more visible to the community of users. Can we have Alexia with that? Okay, please, Alexia, take the floor.
Thank you very much, Harris. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. First of all, my apologies for not being with you today in beautiful Bolzano. I wish I could have been there. Right. So Mountain now. Well, maybe the starting point of the story would be to try to understand why, in fact, the idea came about. So the market need that we're trying to address, and the idea, in fact, is very simple. I mean, myself, I happen to be a mountaineer, and climate change, as many of you, has always been on my horizon in many ways. So, in fact, I realized that real-time geolocalized information about hazards in the outdoor and in the mountains, particularly, were still extremely hard to get. And that in the end, people like you and I going hiking or skiing were actually missing information about what they were going to find. You know, if you go hiking in the spring and you have no idea whether the amount of snow that you may come across, or if you have to cross a bridge and you don't know, what state it is, and so on. So there are major safety issues involved. And if you are a national park, for instance, it's in fact very surprising to see how much local and geospatial information and precise information those public and private actors are actually missing in order to make their management more efficient. So at the end of the day, this has a major impact on lives, and in fact the overall outdoor tourism and insurance industry as a whole. So the unique value proposition that we put together, and I should mention from upfront that the first thing we did was to work with alpine clubs, with safety bodies in the mountain world. The last thing we wanted was to reinvent the wheel. So there was a real co-design and user-driven approach that really at the very at the origin, basically, of Mountain Now's story. So what is the UVP about? Well, crowdsourcing is truly integral to the tool. The idea, in fact, the beauty of it is that if only a few percent of all the people going to the mountains for leisure, basically, take a picture, make a comment here and there. It doesn't have to be all the time. It just be, obviously it depends on what you come across as well in terms of potential hazards or not. But if you get those people to share, and through the tool you can do that in real time in a few seconds, that it makes a huge difference. So it also takes you to the real time dimension, which in the mountain realm was non-existent. Hazards location, we have combined with over the years, and this is something we've been able to do within eShape as well, to really improve, to combine crowdsourced data together with satellite-based data. So essentially Sentinel-1 and 2 data telling you about the latest snow conditions all over the Alpine region, and that's in collaboration with ExoLabs. So on a daily basis, you can really see the latest info and get the exact number, at least as evaluated through the algorithms in centimeter, how much of snow you're going to come across. At the same time, I mentioned the end user being you and I going to the mountains, but at the same time, we are building a unique database about the Alps in terms of how it's changing in the context of climate change, how glaciers are changing, for instance. And that we are putting at the service of research. I'll get back to that in a few seconds. At the same time, this gives us the opportunity to compile all of this data is actually structured and organized in a way that just by the push of a button, you can compile all the avalanches, for instance, of the last winter, or the landslides, and so on. So in terms of big data analysis, we have also plans in these and activities in that direction. We also use navigation. We also complement all of those features with navigation capabilities, multilingual for seasons. The idea, since as we know, seasons are changing quite a bit, Mountain now has to be a tool that can be used on any day. So this is to give you an idea of the traction that we have to date. So we've been operational in our very first version. Of course, since 2017, the application has been changing a lot. But we have about 30,000 users plus in Europe, with over 20,000 tracks and observations already shared on the platform. The proof of technology, it's been successfully tested. So I mentioned the Alps, but in fact, you can use Mountain now anywhere in the world. You get open base map as the main map, regardless of where you go. So it's actually very, very helpful as a reference, and also giving an indication of the potential for expanding Mountain now to other mountain ranges in the world. From the very beginning, we've been working with authoritative organizations, which is a part of our strategy. I'll get back to that. 4 languages, and until now, the apps are free on the app stores and the web for the user completely. For us, it has been a priority until now. So eShape, Harris mentioned eShape, and we've had a fantastic experience in the context of that project. And this also gave us the opportunity to develop some new premium features that are opening the way to, in fact, having a premium version of the application at the same time as the basic free version. And just to give you an idea of those features, we have now introduced new satellite-based products. And until now, we had the current status of the snow depth. Now we have introduced 2-day forecast, which makes a key difference for people wanting to go and planning their trips in the mountains in terms of safety and fun. In terms of filtering, also for inspiration, or for trying to find the filtering on the various icons, you can now do that extremely efficiently and rapidly through the application. Also, live comments have been improved. Also, the maps can be and the information on tracks, hazards, observations can be saved offline, so you don't need the network anymore to do that. So all these we've been developing and are now ready for the upcoming winter, which we are very excited about. Strategic partnerships for us have been from the very beginning, and eShape is certainly also a very high-profile partner that we've had in terms of project. But we've been working with, as I mentioned, alpine clubs, safety bodies, national mapping agencies, but also sports brands, commercial brands, tourism offices, national parks, research labs, and so on. So it's really a whole ecosystem, in fact, of partners that we've been developing that have been all helping in their own ways in giving us visibility and also promoting the tool. In 2021, we started a collaboration in the context of a GCOS, Switzerland Meteo Swiss project with the Swiss National Monitoring Systems for Glaciers and Permafrost to actually collect observations for them over the summer. So basically it would relate to, you're probably familiar with the issue of the rising issue of the glacial lakes and the kind of time bombs that they represent more and more, the seracs, the rock falls, and the overall glacier melting, of course, which is accelerating which we find as accelerating every summer. I wanted to mention that as many of the applications that are being shown, I mean, there is always potential for expanding. And in the case of Mountain Now, in fact, we tend to refer to the whole approach, the infrastructure that we have been developing as Now Together as a whole, because the potential to expand to the seas, to the desert, to the forest, in fact, is extremely high and easy. In fact, you just need to adjust the various icons that we
Alexia, I'm
use.
sorry, I'm interrupting
Yeah.
you, but we have, I mean, you need to close to
Okay, sure. I'm done.
Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, and I'll just stop on this very last slide. This is my last slide anyway, to say that within eShape, in fact, we've been exploring this in connection with cultural heritage, together with ERSC and the Selinunte, park in Sicily. I'll stop there. Thank you very much.
The next presentation is given by Professor Marco Mancini from Politecnico di Milano. Marco, the floor is yours. I have to highlight to this audience here that the action group is actually a voluntary action, okay? It's not at all the projects or, I mean, actions that you are going to be presented today have been part of the previous ESAPE or I mean, EuroGEO funding instrument. For example, Marco Mancini is working in the action group on a voluntary basis. And please, Marco, the floor is yours to explain us what has been done. I mean, how this EuroGEO action group has helped you. Thank you.
Thank you, Aris. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to report here what I think is a nice experience, a nice case study that came from the synergy of a municipality, so a real end use, civil protection, people of municipality in Lombardia, the group of operational engineering company that was the spin-off from Politecnico of Milano, that has MMI, and the group of research at PolyMe. The issue was to set up in a synergy with the engineering solution an early warning system that allow to forecast in real time a possible overflow over the rivers coming through Milano. This is the Milano area. And of course, the synergy with the land observation from satellite is very intrinsic, because the filters that we use to tune the process is a hydrological water balance model that works at the pixel scale and that is fed also by remote sensing data. Let me give you, wait a second, I think it doesn't work. May you go to the next slide? So what is in the next slide is I try to give an wait a second. No, it's the next one. The third one. Or the third one. Or the third one. The third one. It's not this one.
Not the presentation.
No, this is not mine. You have to go further. This is. It's called Mancini Bolzano. Mancini Bolzano.
This is the one.
Next. I know, Iris, you want me to close to keep the time, but to thank you. I'm really glad to Iris and Alexia to push me to be here.
Certainly interrupt you.
No, okay. And what is the meaning of this? Grazie a questa qui. And what is the meaning of this type of systems? Of course, is to contribute. Let me. No, wait a second. Do you have the pointer? Yeah, is to contribute to the reduction of flood risk, not only in a synergic way with the structural hydraulic structures, try to because the structures reduce the hazard of flooding, and the early warning systems contribute to reduce the vulnerability of territory, because you may activate in advance civil protection protective actions. So this is the scope, and you have to realize that in our dense and ancient territory, use of large hydraulic structures sometimes needed to prevent the hazard of floodings are not well accepted by the sociality, by the people, because this hydraulic issue is always a not well-posed problem from a social point of view, because due to the gravity, I always come to pick the garden of someone upstream to defend some other ones downstream, so that we cannot escape from the structures, but we can tune the size of structures according with the management of the residual risk. And this may be done using the early warning system. I like to put your to attention that is actually not a new thing. It is, and this is a sentence from '86 from Nemec. Not to keep the water away from the people, but the people away from the waters is the meaning of this type of early warning stuff. What you can notice, this is the problem in Milan, okay, where the urbanization since the 1954 to nowadays has changed in a considerable way the land use. And you may see that discharge that had a frequency of 100 return periods nowadays has a frequency of about 50 return periods. So it becomes more frequency. Look at the angle of this runoff production curves. So this is not maybe given to climatic change that can be contributed, but this is mainly given to the drastically change in the land use. And when we're talking about land use, we're not talking about only the runoff coefficient that intuitives can change, but also about the connection of in the routing phase, in the transport of runoff due to the drainage system built in the area. So how the system works to be very close, to be very fast, we filter meteorological forecast in a pixel-wise hydrological models to get the discharge hydrograph in any of these dot point, green point in this area. These are the rivers coming into Milan. There is those rivers were mainly all diverted by the Romans. So now we have a problem because the urbanization grows up. And so the idea is to have discharge that are more or less dangerous according to the overflow of this threshold. This is a threshold, this is the Seveso River, this one coming into Milano. And this is made with the procedures. So how the things work at the end, it's a filter, as I say, of several meteorological models. And this is a point, to use not one meteorological forecast, but several meteorological forecasts, because there is no time. Any of these meteorological forecasts has different ahead time, different resolution in time, different resolution in space, so that you may have different forecasts, but you may then choose or given a probability of flood arriving a day or 2 days before in a given cross section. And this is supported by a local monitoring. This is the river Severs, of course, in a dry moment, but where we installed also things in our instruments to control that. This you can get, you can get under the sol.polyme.it, that is the website where you can find. This is another interesting, in these frameworks, there is, I want to also stress a nice interesting solution, a nice interesting case, that is the collaboration between institutional data and citizen science staff. There is because you may see here that the yellow points increase a lot the density of rain gauges on the territory. This is the Seveso River, which I'm speaking about. This is the Milano town. And then we may increase a lot the institutional data with the citizen side data that are they have not the same accuracy as the international one, but the accuracy from the citizen data are sufficient for our hydrologic models. So this is also a point that I would stress. And then let me give you, I think I have to close, right? Okay, just I won't give, what is the when we use all these kind of models, what is the error given by the meteorological forecast? What is the error given by hydrological modeling? And as you see here, the error given by the meteo forecast may be quite still significant. So if we have to choose a configuration, we have to choose to prefer system that minimize false or missed alarms, DPR. I think we have to minimize this one, that is the number of successful forecasts on the all observed information. And I fly. So, and I have to say one other thing, that sometimes we are also discussing about what type of precipitation produce more errors on the forecast, or if it is a stratiform, if it is convective. There is no time, I will love to this. Just to finish this, I have here some points. I think this warning system may really help in reducing flood risk in this synergic with our structures. It helps in reducing the size of structures. That means also the maintenance of hydraulic structures. I am a civil engineering, so I love hydraulic structures, but I have to say that we have to manage their size. So I think we can say thank you to everyone, and came safe to Milano, I would say.
Thank you, dear Marco. Thank you very much. The next presentation is given by me, I think. Okay, it's about the early warning system for mosquito-borne diseases. This is the EUA system. I have to tell you that when we started, I mean, the development of this system, it was completely on a voluntary basis. Action done, 18 partners from Europe. We started under the brand name, if I may use this term, of EuroGEO to develop this activity. There was not any funding at the time. We have been actually working together, 18 partners, key institutions from Europe for at least 3 years until we have this system to be fully operational and applicable first to Europe and now, I mean, in other countries outside Europe. The EUA system is the early warning system for mosquito-borne diseases. Can you please? Oh, no, it's me. Okay, it's actually the system that it is developed in the fight against climate change-induced health problems relating to mosquitoes and mosquito-borne diseases like malaria, West Nile virus, dengue fever, yellow fever. Depending on the country, the system it is applicable. I'm sure you know that this type of diseases are the more lethal diseases in almost everywhere in the world. According to the official figures, 700,000 deaths per year they are caused because of this type of diseases. Sorry. And what the EUA system actually does, it's providing early enough, I mean, a month or 2 weeks before, to the official and to the institutional authorities information about the expected entomological and epidemiological risk at the level of the region, at the level of the municipality, or even at the level of the settlement, so as to anticipate early warning actions, door-to-door actions, and at the same time, of course, actions for the fight and against spraying, etc. All of this, what is needed for the suppression of this type of risk. What have been the achievements? The achievement is that we through the EUA system, because I have to tell you that when we started developing this system, we had realized that there were many different actions worthwhile, but they were very site-specific. It was not possible to have a system that could be scalable and transferable from area to area. And this was one of the main objectives of the group when we started to develop the EUROGEO system. The other main objective was that we should create data repositories, and we do have today centralized data repositories with many different types of data, entomological data, health data, landscape data, climatic data, etc., all of them in a rather harmonized way. And we have created big feature spaces already for the last at least 10 or even more years in the areas that the system has been implemented, so that these feature spaces are actually could be considered as benchmark data sets for the scientists that they want to base upon their developments or modeling actions. And this is very important because before we were suffering from siloed data spaces and of different quality and different accuracies. And last but not least, today the system is supporting 11 regions in Europe. Actually 11,000 municipalities where 34 million people living there. We have also one operational implementation of the system in Ivory Coast in a region with 4.7 million people. And I mean, on this timeline, you see that we started with 2 European countries, Greece and Italy, trying to confront the problem of West Nile virus. In 2021, we expanded to France, Germany, Greece, Italy, and Serbia. In 2022, we included Ivory Coast and Thailand, and that was the first time that we have received in 2002 some financial support from the ESAPE EuroGEO program. Since then, it was a voluntary action, and from last EuroGEO workshop until today, in 1 year, we have been expanding our action in Ghana, in Eastern Germany, so we have included more regions in Germany, 1 more region in Italy, which is close to Milano area, and we are discussing with Pasteur Institute network, actually, so as to expand the action into member states of the Pasteur network. And in the last year, we have progressed so as to advance further our models, entomological and epidemiological model. Now the model is able, I mean, it's an artificial intelligence, big data analysis model that it is now addressing the problem of entomological and epidemiological risk in different scales. That is from the scale of the region to municipality to settlement, but even to the level of the trap, so we can predict the expected risk at the level of the trap, so as to, I mean, for the authorities, the control authorities to anticipate, I mean, how they are going to locate the traps in the area, which is, I mean, supposed to be under risk, but also at the level of the settlement, so as to support door-to-door aware actions. In terms of engagement, I mentioned already that the last year the discussions and the MOUs have been expanded so as to include stakeholders from Latin America. We are in further discussions with the Inter-American Development Bank so as to export the action into that area. The fact is that because a lot of the action is based on the use of Earth observation data and having there, I mean, some local partner providing us in situ entomological or health data, the scalability of the models allow us to expand the action into other, I mean, non-European countries, and that was one of the main concerns when we started developing the system in the framework of the EuroGEO. At the same time, the JRC has signed an MOU in this year so as to expand the research for West Nile virus in Greece by expanding the research actually using and how the different environmental, and not only environmental factors, but also mobility factors can be used in our models for making, I mean, the assessment of the risks more accurate. Financial sustainability, as I have to tell you that we're very happy to have received in the meantime the award of the European Innovation Council of the I mean, that was a big big support into our action, and which is used today so as to invest further into the developments and the expanding of the action in other territories outside Europe. And ESA has expressed a strong interest. It was presented for the first time, the action last year in the collaborative ground segment of European Space Agency, and it is a strong interest expressed by ESA so as to integrate this as one of the advanced applications of the Destination Earth platform developed by the European Space Agency. Last but not least, the dissemination and communication, because we all members of the action groups actually in EuroGEO, we should continue disseminating, communicating our activities and making it visible to not only to European audiences, but outside Europe as well. The EUA system has been actually presented. We received an invitation by GEO Secretariat, WMO, so as to include it into the GEO Highlight Report of 2023 and the Climate Change World Meteorological Organization report that were two highlight communication actions of this year, of the last year of our developments, while, I mean, with the support of the European Commission, have been participating in EGU, GEO for Health, and GEO Week meetings. And this year, actually, again, it's going to be the GEO Week event of Cape Town last year in Ghana, where we initiated the discussions with Ghana colleagues that have concluded today to go with a new MOU with them and expanding of our action into their territories. That is, and if you ask me, and I close with this slide, if you ask me about what we further expect from this action group and from the EuroGEO initiative, is to receive the support, and the support in the coordination of the action, the coordination of the EUA ecosystem under the flag of EuroGEO, so as to make it more visible into entrusted authorities and to the extent possible influence the strategic and political decisions for receiving further support as action group towards the development of the actions in the European and outside Europe territories. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you. Okay, the next presentation is from Mr. William Wind. You are going to give a presentation about a new project.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
The EU for warming.
Indeed. Good morning. I'm actually presenting on behalf of the project coordinator, Fede Bartimeus, out of Barcelona. I'm William Wint, based in Oxford. This is another of the projects on this sort of thing that Harris has been talking about. In other words, mosquito-borne diseases, which are now becoming a threat to Europe. Oh, yes, it works. Congratulations. We're in a hurry, so I'm going to miss the fluff. Essentially, we are trying to look at these things in the One Health context, with using, of course, Earth observation to provide a lot of the data. So we're looking at disease reservoirs, the vectors, i.e. the mosquitoes that carry the diseases, the humans and the environment, and the disease levels themselves. The basic logic is that dengue, which is the disease we're primarily dealing with, looks likely to establish and spread here in Europe. As it's not yet widely established here, though, it's a bit difficult to study it. So essentially what we have to do is to use what we know about dengue in other areas and extrapolate it to what is likely to go on here. And to do that, we do a number of things. We're looking at dynamic disease models and forecasting tools in a number of endemic areas, as I've just mentioned, and extending those specific dynamic disease models to several identified hotspots outside Europe. And those hotspots are essentially identified to be the ones that are important to import the disease here. The climate information and probably the vegetation information used in these models is provided by Earth observation. We're also using Earth observation and novel vector sampling, groovy traps and automated traps and citizen science. All of these things are a bit on the edge as far as mosquito sampling is concerned, to look at vector and host distribution models at different scales, so we understand what's going on at different scales. We're looking at also how it might spread once it gets here, by looking at spillover from natural areas, which is one possibility, and also looking at spread in and between urban areas. Again, some of the drivers that we used as input to these models are provided by EO. And then we're looking at import levels and how much it's likely to come in here before and if it starts spreading. Again, some of those drivers are going to be, of spread is going to be EO stuff. I'll forget that. We don't need that. So I'm going to quickly look at some of the highlights. Let's look at the urban environments I mentioned. As I've mentioned before, the driver information to predict vector presence, i.e. mosquito presence, what it does, the seasonal abundance, its activity, how it interacts with people, and how it disperses, the vectors disperse, often driven by climatological data, some of which is provided by Earth observation. But also we need to know about human mobility, human activities. We need to catch them in ways that aren't too labor intensive, so we've got automatic traps to do that. But we combine that with traditional surveillance and citizen science, which allows us to test these methods against each other to see which we can use best. As I said, we're looking at spillover from wetlands into peri-urban areas, looking specifically at Aedes, the tiger mosquito Aedes albopictus in Europe in a number of different areas. And we're also, while we're at it, looking at another mosquito which is implicated in West Nile virus spread, as Harris would have told you. We use mark and release recapture. We need to know the habitat, again, helped by Earth observation. We use biologging. We look at the way the birds move around because they're important for the mosquitoes. And that gives us an idea of how the vectors disperse, where the host and vector home ranges are, how the vectors are active and how they interact with the people, and so on. Good. Oh, sorry. We obviously don't know what's going on in Europe because it's not here. It gets imported every now and then, but it doesn't hang around for very long. So the only way we can do it is by looking at what happens in its wider areas, primarily Southeast Asia and South America. So that is essentially what we're doing. We're building models from those, how it spreads, how we can forecast it, which is more important, and then translating those to what goes on here. A lot of those models are based on water availability, hence the interest in water in Europe that I've just described, and we can use that to forecast. Key to these are both the reported cases of dengue, i.e. the disease itself, but also the covariate data suite that drives the models. And here I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes, or last couple of minutes really, talking about Earth observation data, because there's a lot of it, as you all know. So somehow or other, we have to break it down into something that fits into these models without tearing our hair out and saying which of the vast array of Earth observation data can we use for these models. So a lot of the things we do are data reduction, essentially. And we have now produced a product for temperature, for various aspects of vegetation. I'm sad to say from Modis and Veers rather than Copernicus, because it's got a longer time series we can look at. And we break it down using Fourier processing, essentially, into synoptic indicators of disease, levels, seasonality, and range variability over either 3-year periods or 20-year periods. And that gives us a solid base to be able to make these sorts of forecasts. And because these are global data, we can use the same parameters to build our endemic models as for the ones that we're going to be using in Europe. Import to the EU, well, basically what we do is we trace how many people are coming in from where we think the dengue hotspots are, which we can look at from the passenger lists on aircraft, and then we work out where those go in Europe and then look at the spread from those imported areas, or likely spread, using human mobility and again, of course, climate drivers, which allows those spread. To give you an idea of how much these things can spread, you get the movement of 60,000 mosquitoes a day from Barcelona to Madrid in cars. You know, there you go. Right, that's a very rapid overview, and I thought I might, thanks for listening, all of these people are very important in the project, thank you for them. I thought I might just leave a quick two-sentence thoughts about the use of EO in this thing. The tricky bit is finding the right one to use for us. I've been working at it for a long time, but I had to persuade my colleagues to use Earth observation rather than meteorological-based stuff, because they're not familiar with it, they don't understand it, they haven't seen much of it, they think it's very complicated, and they don't know which bits of it to use. So we, in the EO community, we have a marketing problem to get it out into these sorts of use cases where there aren't EO specialists to use it. Now, I know this came up yesterday, but I think it's worth making a point of. If we don't get our act together, then it's going to be underused. Thank you very much.
Thank you, William. I mean, very valid comment, and I hope that we would have the time to discuss it like we did yesterday. In any case, the next presentation is given by George Koutaliaris, actually. This is the next new project linked to this group, and I'm very happy for this. It is the project Aqua
Health. One Aqua Health.
Health. Thank you, George.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, everyone. Now, One Aqua Health also is part of the One Health vision, a framework that tries to harmonize policies related to community health priorities, but harmonized with ecosystem health, animal and biodiversity requirements. Let's see. It is evident to anyone, and it has been discussed many times during these days, that we did see a climatic, let's say, behavior that is showing a rapid growth regarding the temperature, the global temperature. Another observation that was a motivation for this work is the rapid urbanization, which is also very important if we consider that 70% of the global population is expected to live inside the urban environment by 2050. Now, getting to the point of as very well noted by William, getting to the point of the European experts, I feel really lucky to be working with renowned experts in this freshwater biodiversity, let's say, research, and indeed we are offering to them complementary capabilities. So, although the project has started on January 2023, we are 1/5 in the course of the project. Still, we try to provide tools and new capabilities to these researchers, as I'm about to show you. But just to wrap up this slide, let me just give you the basic observation is that freshwater species, 1/3 of freshwater species is under extinction risk. We see that 50% of the rivers on a global scale are below the quality standards set by the experts. And then we see the urban stream syndrome, which is the basic motivation for us, and I think a very important motivation if we consider the urbanization issue discussed earlier, and the impact on the large part of the population. So we saw altered flow regimes, low diversity alterations in the ecosystem functioning, and atypical seasonal patterns with respect to the urban streams. So, this slide summarizes these observations. We see a degraded urban freshwater ecosystems, and these are sources of diseases that affect both animals, plants, and humans. And human health is not only considered the physical health, but it's also the public welfare, the social welfare. How we use these resources and how these resources are integrated using nature-based solution, which is a big part of the work that is being going on. I need to open this parenthesis. This is only a glimpse to a specific dimension of this research, but there are other dimensions that are in progress. So I need to say that the waterborne and vector-borne diseases, public health and social welfare are all related to the urban aquatic ecosystems, and of course they depend on these climatic changes. Now, what do we do on aqua health in this respect? The first is to assess the quality of the urban aquatic ecosystem, and that is very important because I think for the first time we are trying to put together different disciplines in order to have a harmonized, let's say, a viewpoint on how we assess the quality of the ecosystem. So how do you do that? How do we plan to do that? First, we identify the parameters related to the health of the freshwater ecosystem in urban contexts, and also to identify parameters related to human health and well-being, and also to re-establish the balance between nature and humans. This is very important because it seems that the relationship works vice versa. If we improve the ecosystem, then the human, let's say, condition will improve, and it goes also the other way. So just to give a little glimpse on the project and to enter the territory of this discussion today, we have 5 sites: Toulouse, Benveneto in Italy, Ghent in Belgium, Coimbra, Portugal, Norway. And for these places, we plan to use Galileo Sentinel-2 data, specifically as we see in the following surface reflectance seems to work really well for us, but lower orbit data is something we are also considering. So this will come in, let's say, we try to combine different available contexts. The reason for that, the reason for that is that the streams, as we realized, are really narrow. We are talking about 5 meters, even less, 3 meters in width. So the area that these researchers are monitoring is not only in the urban environment, is really narrow. So we need to find ways to accommodate that. Now, in situ data, there is in-test data collection, because this is what these teams are doing. Of course, as William, again, you mentioned earlier, these guys are not used to the available, let's say, EO tools, but they know their work, and their work is to record habitats of these ecosystems, to identify chemical pollutants or other pollutants in the stream, or even to count the species and the different taxa of ecology that resides in these areas. And they do it around the clock, day to day. So what is this discussion about today? Our aim is to correlate actually the ground data with the work that that has been going on in their research topic. And this is something that we need to go really deep. So we need to consider, I will not go into detail, the presentation will be online, but we need to consider multispectral capabilities of the Galileo and to see whether available indicators could work. So how do we go about it? We need to enter a discussion with researchers and come up with some candidate indicators that they feel could complement their domain of expertise. And vegetation indices like NDVI, urbanization indices like built up, and water indices like NDWI are, let's say, some priorities that have been identified. So, for example, in the case of Ghent, we used, let's say, some experiments with NDVI and GVMI in order to identify a very important characteristic with the generation of algae in these sites. Now, of course, the sampling continues, so we need to establish a methodology for data collection on site. So why do we need this data on these different sites? First of all, we have to correlate the data with specific areas. So I think this is an important, let's say, identification, observation. We need tools. We need annotation tools. 1 minute. Annotation tools to provide to the experts. This is, for us, the only way to engage them in, let's say, to work with the satellite data. And then, of course, there are challenges. The challenges in the areas of interest, as I have told you earlier, is the image resolution limitation, obstructed view of the urban structures, very important limitation. Of course, the dense vegetation, which is also an issue in these places. Of course, this is something that most of you are familiar, but it's good to demonstrate that these indicators cannot work unless some level of resolution is achieved. So we see an example, the example in C, does not provide any information, whereas in example in B worked indeed for us. So priorities for us, the next period is first to collect diverse data sets from each pilot sites. These include ecological quality, biological quality, riparian integrity, hydromorphological quality, water quality. So these are the European experts working with us. Then we need to correlate these ground measures to develop a prediction model for streams health assessment. And then we want to validate this model in different sites in order to improve the accuracy. This standard work, we put the teams there because I need to say this would not be possible without the help of Maria Feio and her team in University of Coimbra, hence her name in the presentation, but I'm really happy to receive her trust in giving this presentation. Thank you all for your kind patience.
Thank you, George. The next presentation is given by Alexia. Alexia is going to give a presentation about an initiative, a coordination and support action, the GeoCred. GeoCred was a precursor action of EuroGEO or ESA, if we may use. And since then, GeoCredits became a Geo initiative. The main scope is to disseminate and communicate the actions being developed in the framework of Geo or EuroGEO in regions outside Europe, I mean in North Africa, Middle East, Balkans. So Alexia, please take the floor and explain how a coordination and support action could be used in parallel to the implementation action so as to support one another. I mean,
Thank you. Indeed, it started as a coordination support action back in 2016, and I will briefly summarize the way until it became a Geo initiative. In the meantime, it was upgraded to a community activity, and from the 2018 in Kyoto, the decision was taken to be upgraded also to a Geo initiative. So this is the state-of-the-art Earth observation activities that was the focus, and actually the scope was to integrate and to coordinate all these different activities in different countries in this challenging area of Balkans, North Africa, Middle East. And what now is expanded in terms of both geographically and as also thematic areas, we will see in the Geo initiative what extra things we have included. And here is the nutshell, first of all, of the GeoCradle as a project. So 4 pilot activities were implemented related to climate change, to food security and water extremes management, raw materials and solar energy. And a part of these 4 feasibility studies, some central horizontal actions were implemented, like a regional data hub, which facilitated the access and search and share of Earth observation data and actually contribute them to the GEOs, to the system. So another highlight was the regional networking platform, which is continuously enriched. And it was very interesting to see after each capacity action that we were doing, more people were registering, more partners were registering, more organizations. And this was proven to be a very good platform also to develop synergies for common activities, for to form a consortia for projects in the future. So last one was the Earth observation maturity indicators methodology, another important deliverable and another important methodology that was applied, and it produced countries' Earth observation profiles, which you could see the maturity in different levels. And this altogether of all these outcomes of the GeoCradle, they were the basis and also the experience of our capacity building actions in these areas that we put them together and we produced a roadmap for this area specific for the future implementation of GEOS and Copernicus in this region of interest. What did I do? Okay. So then for the expansion under the GEO initiative, we have also included the Black Sea as a geographical expansion. And thematically, we have two themes in addition, disaster management and water resources management. And as for the pilots, we continue pushing for their operationalization of services to the engaged users. And this indeed was made possible already through the shape project, for example, where we managed to integrate these pilots and to make them even more advanced and to develop more services and to make them more operationalizations. And also that Dr. Kontoes already mentioned, the EWA, which was an onboarded pilot also to the shape, and then also thanks to the Horizon Prize of the European Innovation Council, this allowed also further development. And finally, the Excelsior project is a Horizon 2020 teaming phase 2 project. And you can see here, I will not mention all of them, but you can see here the variety of stakeholders and end users that they came out of the GeoCradle initiative, and that they spread in all the spectrum of end users, from private to public sector, from academia, from all the decision makers, and in different fields. Like you can see in the solar energy, we have ministries of environment and energy, for example, in Egypt. We have private investments for solar parks. For the agriculture, we have also engaged, and we have close cooperation with the insurance companies, and also this was also taken upon by the cooperatives, farmers cooperatives in the eShape project who are interested in this service, and with the co-design methodology we further developed specific services for their daily practices. Then we have the disasters, of course, floods and geohazards and volcanicas, that we had even interest of the volcanicas advisory centers, and the aviation industry, because it's influencing the flights, of course. And for the I will not enter in the details for the early warning system for mosquito-borne diseases. We had already a presentation. And let's go on now to the concrete outcomes and impact. So we have all this regional cooperation now and liaison with the initiatives of Copernicus, EuroGEO, AfriGEO, and ESA GEO. We have also contacts, and we make this possible in the UN Spider framework, because we are a regional support office as the Beyond of National Observatory of Athens. And we are also disseminating this, and we make synergies in the CEO's working group of disasters risk reduction. Here you can see also different congresses and different opportunities that we have already made with cooperation of others. Like, for example, in the Albania, we made the specific workshops following the contacts that we had established in the GeoCradle, and we will also come back for the upcoming actions, also in the Geo Week, also for the FPCAP, that the Copernicus uptake is very important, because it's funding some of the basic travel expenses that we need to do in order to reach all these partners. And so this contributes to the impact maximization, and like this we make this scalability and transferability, that it's one of the main purposes. And this is the final slide for the evaluation, reflection, and lessons learned. So what we have seen is that there is a big legacy, there is an impact already recognized. The pilots have increased their TRL during all this process and all this integration in the running projects, and also by the award, by the Horizon Prize, the Earth Observation Maturity Assessment is further developed and implemented. Actually, I was speaking with Lefteris from Evenflow. They are still expanding and include new countries. Now they are going to sub-Saharan for 6 countries. They will also implement this methodology that was further enhanced in the eShape project. So we do all this, also on a voluntary basis, but also with the projects that are coming. And of course, more sustainable funding should be a real facilitator in order to have some more stable, and some better planning of this work. And now for the secretariats, also both GEO and EuroGEO secretariats would help for a better liaison in order to have better cooperation in the framework of EuroGEO and AfriGEO. So thank you for your attention, and we can pass to you.
Thank you, Alexia. I understand that it's very difficult to speak in 7 minutes with such an action, but anyway. Okay, let's proceed with the last presentation of the day. It's given by Ms. Julie Letertre. I think Ms. Letertre is going to be connected virtually, right? Do we have Ms. Letertre with us?
Yes.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, we can hear you. Please go on.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm apologizing, I couldn't stay longer. I was there yesterday, but today I had to go back for personal reason. So I have to give my presentation online, so sorry about that. So Alexia, can you share my presentation, please?
One moment, please. Please. This slide. One moment, please, to fix the presentation so as to be available to us. It's okay now, you can continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the Copernicus project has been running now since several years. And at Copernicus, the first objective was to collect some Earth data observation that has a purpose to give information for European countries. And that was the main goal of the first period of Copernicus. With the second phase of Copernicus, it started to be more driven around the users. And we started to develop some new projects like the National Collaboration Action and the thematic hubs. So the Copernicus services, the segment, are starting to pair up with the countries to have national action, and are pairing up with thematic hubs to have really dedicated information for a specific sector, for specific countries. So it's really what we try to achieve in this new phase of Copernicus. So as I said, we have two new tools. So one of them is the thematic hubs. So what is a thematic hubs is defined in our agreement as a single entry point for a specific sector that can backtrack to EU policy needs and have a simplified access to the data. So at ECMWF, you have been mandated to do the health hub and the energy hub. So the energy hub will be presented this afternoon by Fabio, who is in the room today with you, and I will present the health now. So what we want to achieve with having this data is having technical knowledge and expertise from the Copernicus point of view, give an example, a few examples of how this data can be used and integrated for the specific sector, be inspiring, improve coordination, make more collaboration and integration between organizations and member states, and give guidance and capacity building. So that is really what we try to achieve with these different hubs. Next slide, please. Thank you. So, oops. Yeah, thank you. So what happened is in June last year, for the Health Hub, we've been mandated by DG DEFIS to start to work on the Health Hub and try to define how we can collect information for the health sector. Then a few months later, we've been mandated by the Energy Hub. 1 year later, we started to have what we call the pre-launch. So we've launched the access to the website and catalog for the Health Hub and then for the Energy Hub. In a few weeks' time, we will have the formal launch by the European Commission during the EU Space Weeks. So on the 7th of November, with this official launch, all the hubs have been developed so far for Copernicus, meaning the health and the energy one, but also the coastal and the Arctic. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So to do the Health Hub, it's not an easy task. We were talking about it yesterday, because what we needed to do is to collect information, what is existing in Copernicus that's related to health, how and it identify which are the information and how they can be used. And you can realize that sometimes some information are straightforward, useful, but sometimes they are a little bit more hidden, but can be used. The question is, should we provide access to raw data? Should we provide access to more advanced data? So what we have decided to do, because the hubs are not really funded by themselves, so we've decided to go for the raw data as a first thing. So we have data from EUMETSAT and ESA, from the in-situ component, and from all the services. So when we collected all this data, we also tried to see how the user can use them. So we decided to create an advisory board using people from more the health sector, like people from DG Santé, Lancet Goodburn, EAA with the Health Observatory, and WHO, WMO, Europe sector. With all of them, we decided to find how we could build together and propose something that's useful for the community. So our main goal is to be useful. And it's really, as discussed yesterday, is really something difficult to do. Next slide, please. So what we need to understand is the 3 different levels of things we have to do. First, we need to identify who are the users. So in the health sector, in the Health Hub, we want to reach health sector, but who are the health sector communities? That can be the core user of Copernicus, like DGs at the European Commission or national authorities, mayor of city, but it can also be citizen, or it can be application developer. The second question was mentioned yesterday is what the user wants, what they want to have access as a data. So as I said earlier, do they want raw data? Do they want more advanced indicator and other things? And the third thing is why? Why do they need it? Why do they want to have access to the data? And that was mentioned yesterday again, of try to understand what is a part of the journey they want to achieve. Next slide, please. So here is what we have developed so far. So we have a web page, which is more or less containing a lot of user stories, a lot of inspiring information, like why health is related to environment and climate, and things like that. So it's a much more a reading point of view. The second one is a catalog, is an access to some database. So as it's still in development, you can see this is written on the page that is still in development. For the moment, the database containing in it is quite small, but is improving and growing day after day. Next slide. So for example, I was saying that we have use cases, user stories. So that is just one, and it was just to show you what we can find. So under the use cases, you can have different thematic. One of the thematic is heat and sun related use cases. One of them is air quality, climate change, and public health. in this domain, you can find different application coming from different service of Copernicus. So this one was contributing camps and CTS, and you can see how Copernicus data can be used for health purpose. Next slide, please. So the next step is to go further. So as I said, for the moment, we're using raw data. We're using our data provided by the service. We're using user stories that's already existing. But what we would like to go is to go a little bit further, have new indicator, more user story, more use cases. And also we would like to work more with the project partner. So like, for example, we are developing in-house trigger and AD for GD. We are contributing to these two projects. So they will be now integrated to the thematic hubs. But we would like to go further and have also a kind of a point of access to different projects and to different indicators that can be developed in the health purpose. We would like to continue to work with interested entities and European Commission to try to see forward how we can provide a better access to the health community towards the environment and climate data. And finally, what we would like to do is to reach new stakeholders, have a better engagement with users and stakeholders, and go a little bit further on the understanding, on building the bridge between climate, environment scientists, and health sector. And with that, I think is my last.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Okay, dear colleagues, we ran out of time, but I would kindly ask you to take 5 or 10, if you want, minutes from the coffee break, so as to have some discussion, if possible, to summarize. It's important for us. 2 days now, yesterday and today, we had a very interesting discussion, at the same time presentation of different actions that have been, some of them done under the flag of EuroGEO, some others are new, but you are linking to EuroGEO and to this action group, and I'm very happy seeing that, because whatever we are discussing and all the terms we are using, either the ones being involved in the EuroGEO action for the last 4 or 5 years, or the newcomers actually who are using the same terms. We are using the term of data harmonization of data, data repository, exploitation of data platforms, user engagement, stakeholder engagement. And what is important for us, to consider today that this action group, if we say this is an action group, I would prefer to use the term forum, is where we can meet, exchange, and see what is the level of collaboration and support we can receive one another. From the different point of views we may have as being from our profile, actually. We're scientists, we're service providers, all of us were scientists, but anyway, we're researchers, service providers, or even, end users or stakeholders. So I would like directly to ask all of you, after these 2 days of discussions we had, and of course, excellent presentations we had, what do you think? The members or the former members of Action Group that have been part of the implementation through the eSafe EuroGEO project or other projects that were to some extent bringing the flag of EuroGEO, what do you think has been for you useful, beneficial of being part of EuroGEO? What actually EuroGEO has done so as to support your action so far, your implementation? And even more, what do you expect in terms of coordination so as your action to become more sustainable? What do you think is sustainability for you, and what is the coordination and support you may need from EuroGEO in order that your action becomes, is sustained? And from the ones that are coming recently into this type of discussions, in this forum, how do you feel actually being part of this community? What is for you the useful? What is beneficial? And what do you expect from this community, from this initiative, under the name of EuroGEO, to be, taken as an action so as to support your activity? So who wants to take the floor? Either from the partners that have been part of the EuroGEO and this action group, or the newcomers. Who wants to take the floor? Make any comment from the
Thank you, Harris, for the nice introduction. As a newcomer myself, I need to attest that there is this rapport and support, but at a personal level. We get to know people that are working on similar problems. And as I said yesterday, we have the impression that we work alone in silos in the projects. And when we get to these meetings, we realize that everyone is trying to solve the same problem. I really like, for example, William, I feel that I'm offering new capabilities to researchers and opening new opportunities with AI, with observation data and all these things. This is an important achievement, and I think this is something that these projects and the forum has to offer. So if I may summarize two things, first of all, we need to engage the actual domain experts in a way. This means that we need to come up with, let's say, some offerings to them. To me, I believe we need to give them tools to use the technology. Really simple tools like this GeoJSON annotation is an amazing opportunity to engage them directly. So offering them the tools would be something that EuroGEO will be really proud of, because it will be for an outside community.
Who else wants to?
I'm also a newcomer and hadn't really heard much of this. Initially, it struck me that EuroGEO was a supply-side thing. It was talking about how to supply, how to organize it, how to standardize it, how to bureaucratize it, all these other things, where the funding came from, who provided it, how it was organized, what the initiatives were. It seems to me that actually today we've had more examples of users and provided perhaps an impetus for that supply side constant focus to move more to the demand side. Because it's clear that people now understand the potential of using these data that we provide. It's not quite so clear that people are all that keen on yet doing it, or know how to do it, or know where to get it from, or any of these other things. It's fine if you've been in the profession for a long time. It's great to see the move, but I think it's possibly now time to focus on how we've heard a lot of it, user needs and all the rest of it, but how we then implement the change in focus from organization of supply to satisfying demand. I think that is something that we need to start as you broaden the community, because not everybody's supplying. That's relatively a lot more people that could be using it.
Thank you, William. Please.
Thank you. So one thing I would like to say that is it would be good to have some synergies also with the Copernicus thematic hubs, because it's obviously both in EuroGEO and Copernicus, the involvement of the European Commission is big, so that it would be good to have this coordination. And yeah, I would like also to say that perhaps from the point of view of the organization of events, and it would be nice to see a continuation of the communication in between workshops, in between these events that happen, twice a year, and that could be done via newsletters, I don't know, blogs, where people can showcase also their developments.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any more comments? Marco, please.
Grazie. Thanks, Harris. I think I appreciate very much this initiative, first for the personal contact and communication that this kind of initiative brings. with itself. Second, I was reflecting, so a key questions that is how a community like this may promote the use of data getting from a satellite. I worked always in a layer that is on the boundary between data production, data use, and the operative works, because I worked as an engineering in my polytechnics, but also in my company. So I am stressed somehow, and this is my personal experience, sometimes by the data and their own reliability. I think this probably is an issue, and a community like this one, this is just a brainstorm, so please, I'm just loudly thinking, and a community like this one may maybe provide a kind of discussion about this type, what can this data, with this kind of data we can be used for, until which level, and also provide some additional information, maybe to Copernicus, that means to space agency, where they have to improve the data accuracy. Because what that means, we have an accuracy of 2 or 3 degrees on land surface temperatures. How does impact, for instance, on the monitoring of our actual evapotranspiration? It is a big impact or not? About soil moisture, we can discuss at the same time for a while. What is the impact also on the simple products like NDVI, on plant parameterization still for the use? I know these fields, in the fields of crop resistance, for instance, crop and like NDVI, like leaf area index, how the accuracy of data will impact on that. I think if we will, it is not an easy job, is a job, but I think a community of this one, because there are a lot of experts in different branch, may try to provide a kind of accuracy request or accuracy statement on this type of data. Grazie.
Thank you, Marco. I mean, on one side is science, innovation, and what does impact actually on the daily practice, on the level of information and the knowledge we can deliver to the end user. This is very important for this community first to understand that we are not just scientists processing data or developing models. We have to have, through what we are producing actually, to address the need of the user. And what William said is that we have to see, I mean, the demand, okay, side of our action actually, and this is very, very important. And that was the main and the key aspect when we initiated 5 years ago, actually, with EuroGEO. You remember, you are one of the older members, I mean, of this action group, that we wanted to be, I mean, once again, one project that ends and nobody, again, I mean, is taking care of it, but we wanted to have an action which is sustainable and which has to have, I mean, a follow-up project or implementation or a continuation into the user engagement. And that is what we discussed yesterday. The engagement of user is not a simple story. For scientists, it's simpler to develop models or to improve the accuracy. But when we want to communicate that to the end user, and you want the users being, I mean, engaged and co-create, co-develop with all of us the product which is necessary for their daily practice, this is a time-consuming process, and the scientists should be adapted into that. So this is EuroGEO, this is the concept of EuroGEO. And of course, the coordination is very important, and the continuation of this type of discussions and meetings and workshops, it's what EuroGEO wants actually to establish for the future, together with the implementation action, to be, I mean, aside the so-called coordination action, which I don't know, according to the Commission, I mean, it is going to be undertaken as an action by the so-called EuroGEO Secretariat. It's a body that it is to be established in the very near future, but at the same time, we have to be supported and to use all the other coordination and support actions already running, Copernicus, FPCAP, or GeoCradle Initiative, because I mean, all of them are already there. Of course, the EuroGEO Secretariat will collaborate with all these different actions. Copernicus hubs. Copernicus is developing hubs of data. EuroGEO is seeking to develop data repositories, harmonized data sets, not only Earth observation data, but also in situ data, sensor data, and this to be freely available and open to the scientists and to the end users. So we have to coordinate all that so as not to run in different, ways, but to converge all these actions into a common European action development initiative, like the EuroGEO initiative. I still be optimist. 5 years ago, we were, in a rather fragmented, like we presented, environment, developing things. Now, through the EuroGEO initiative, we have the feeling that we started at least the discussions in the community converging into one concept. Let's see how far we can go. Any more comment, please? Erwin, please.
It's not a comment, Harris, but I think we need to close here because lunch is served and within half an hour the e-poster sessions will start again. Just to say that the suggestions that you made are excellent. As Harris said, we will announce tomorrow the new EuroGEO Secretariat starting soon, 1st of December. So please, the practical input that you all have on the newsletter, for example, how to keep the dialogue ongoing, please put them on the posters that are on the foyer upstairs. Please do it, that we take them in the discussions tomorrow. Also, I saw a lot of relevant things for the next EuroGEO, for the next GEO ministerial in Cape Town. So there's also this expression of interest that we sent last Wednesday. So if you want to show a poster there, you can just send it. We will make sure that we have an European Commission booth, European Union booth, I should say. You can put your poster there for your projects, mature things, but also projects that just started. If you have a video with subtitles, we can also use it. If you are there in Cape Town and you want to have a discussion at our EU booth, please mention this, but fill in the form that we sent last Wednesday. Today, the latest tomorrow. That's important. And I need to also for, of course, the online people like Alexia, for example, what you do, the other Alexia, I mean, also take advantage of this. And for this, I would like to thank Alexia and you, Harris, for this excellent session. Sorry to be the break of the discussion, but I think there's excellent food outside, so I give you, Harris, the last word to close the session.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Thank you, dear colleagues. We'll continue, we'll keep in touch. Thank you. Thank you very much.